Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into the core ideas of a truly life-changing book, Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. It's all about this pretty wild idea. What if the real source of our suffering isn't what happens to us, but the way our minds constantly interprets it? Let's get into it. So, let me ask you something right off the bat. What if all your anxiety, all your stress, wasn't actually because of your job or your relationships or anything happening out there in the world? What if it all comes down to that constant chattering voice inside your own head? And that's exactly where Toll kicks things off. So for our first section, we are going to explore this very idea, the voice inside your head. Tolle has a great name for this. He calls it ceaseless mental noise. And that's so true, isn't it? Just think about that nonstop inner monologue, always analyzing, judging, worrying. He argues that this frantic, endless energy is the number one thing blocking us from finding any kind of real, deep inner peace. And get this, Tolle doesn't just call it a harmless quirk. He describes it as a torturer living in your head, a voice that is constantly attacking you, punishing you for things you did ages ago, and just draining you of all your life energy. It's a really powerful and kind of unsettling way to think about it, right? And there's a name for this: compulsive thinking. The key word there is compulsive. It's involuntary. We just can't seem to stop it. And I think for most of us, we just assume this is, well, normal. We don't even realize that this uncontrollable stream of thought is actually the core affliction causing so much of our pain. Okay, so if that voice is the problem, what in the world is the solution? Well, that brings us to the next, and honestly, the most mind-blowing idea in the whole book. You are not your mind. This right here, this is everything. The single most important step you can take towards freedom is realizing that the voice in your head is not you. It's just the thinker. You are the one who is aware of the thinker. Making that distinction, that separation, that is where freedom begins. And this really breaks it down for us. On one side, you've got the thinker. That's the incessant voice, the ego, what Tolle calls the false self. And notice where it lives, exclusively in the past and the future. But on the other side, you have the observer, the silent witness. This is your true self, your being, and it only exists in one place, right here in the now. The whole journey is about shifting your identity from the loud thinker to the silent observer. All right, but you might be wondering, how is the mind so good at keeping us trapped? Tolle says it has one primary weapon, and he calls it the illusion of time. So here's the mind's sneaky little secret. It is constantly dragging you away from the present moment because it sees the now as a major threat. And why is that? Well, because the mind is basically a machine designed to chew on the past and worry about the future. In the timeless present moment, it's out of a job. It has zero control, so it does everything it can to make sure you're never really there. And this is the trap it lays for us. It uses the past to give you a sense of identity. But what comes with that? Oh, just a whole lot of regret and grudges. Then it uses the future to promise you some kind of salvation or happiness, which just creates endless anxiety and craving. The real breakthrough moment is when you realize that, according to Tolle, both of these are just illusions. They don't exist anywhere but inside your head. The only thing that's ever real is this very moment. Okay, so we've spent some time in the weeds with the problem. Let's just take a breath right here and shift gears to the solution. Let's move into the practice of finding the power of now. Tolle tells this incredible story to make his point. Picture this. There's a beggar who has been sitting on the same old box for over 30 years, day in and day out asking people for spare change. One day, a stranger comes by and asks him, "What's in that box you're sitting on?" The beggar just shrugs. Nothing. It's just an old box. But the stranger insists. Have you ever looked inside? So finally, the beggar manages to pry the lid open, and he is absolutely stunned to find that it's filled with gold. And the meaning here, wow, it hits hard, right? We are all that beggar. We spend our lives looking for little scraps of happiness and validation outside of ourselves, all while we are sitting on an immense, unimaginable treasure. That treasure is the deep joy and unshakable peace of what Tolle calls being, and it can only be found in one place, right here in the now. So what exactly is this being he talks about? Well, it's not something you need to achieve or go out and find. It's the essence of who you already are, underneath all the layers of personality and ego and thought. It's your deepest, truest nature, and the only way to access it, to feel it, is when the mind finally gets quiet. Okay, this all sounds amazing, but how do we actually do it? How do we find that quiet? Let's get super practical. This final section is all about taking your first step to presence. The practice itself is way simpler than you might think. Step 1, you just start listening to that voice in your head, almost like you're eavesdropping on someone else's conversation. Step 2, just notice its patterns. You'll probably see the same old worries, the same old stories playing on a loop. And here's the most important part. Do it without judging. Don't criticize the voice, just listen. And then, step 3, something incredible happens. The very act of noticing creates a space, a separation. You're no longer lost in the thought. You're the awareness behind it. You become the silent witness. And what's really magical is what happens next. In the little gaps between those thoughts, you'll start to feel something. A stillness, a deep sense of peace. Even if it's just for a split second, that is a massive victory. That feeling is the beginning of your freedom from the tyranny of the mind. And that's really the whole journey Tolle lays out. It's a simple but profound shift from unconscious thinking to conscious being. So we'll leave you with this question to explore for yourself. What might actually happen in your life if you stopped identifying with that endless stream of thinking and started experiencing the profound peace of just being?